Across the nation, there is a bus driver shortage. In the Park Hill School District, this has led to frustrating challenges. We worked with First Student on solutions, but there were still not enough drivers. So the board voted to move ahead with efforts to add more tiers of bus routes, which would change our start times. Because the same drivers would be able to circle around and drive the additional tiers of bus routes, we would not need as many drivers. We initially started our process in April to change start times, but because of overwhelming feedback from our Park Hill parents, staff members, students, and community members, we decided not to change our start times for the 2019-2020 school year. Since then, our Sleep and Start Times work group investigated research about students' sleep needs, and it considered how changing start times would impact our schools and our families' lives. Then our Start Times Advisory Committee used the research to help come up with the ideas for a multi-tier busing model. As we look ahead to start time changes that will begin next school year, the Start Times Advisory Committee, which consists of parents and staff members, reviewed all of the ideas using the criteria set by the Board of Education and narrowed them down to 3 groups. In the blue idea, the high schools are in the first tier. In the orange idea, the high schools are in the second tier. The yellow idea is a hybrid, where the high schools were in different tiers or there were 4 tier options. But the committee eliminated all the ideas where there were 4 tiers and the ideas where the elementary schools started first because they had too negative of an effect on families.
There are so many issues at play. For example, every level, elementary, middle, high school, they don't have the same number of minutes in their day. So that adds one layer. There are more kids at the elementary level than there are at the middle school level. And every level has different ridership also.
The 3 ideas are posted on parkhilllistens.com, and you can now comment on each idea and like or comment on other people's thoughts as well. The advisory committee will review all the feedback and use it to make a list of considerations for ways to improve the final recommendation to the Board of Education. Across the nation, there is a school bus driver shortage for districts that run their own bus services, as well as those who contract with transportation providers, like we do with First Student. Not being able to hire enough experienced bus drivers means that we have more inexperienced, substitute drivers on our routes, and the people who would normally be helping with customer service calls have to fill in. Because we currently have a 2-tier framework, bus drivers have split shifts and do not get enough hours to qualify for benefits. This has led to high turnover rates. We tried offering job sharing to allow bus drivers to also be district employees to earn benefits. We also agreed to increase driver salary schedules to help with recruitment and retention. But unfortunately, increasing pay causes other districts to adjust, making us no more competitive. As our contract with First Student nears an end, we will request proposals for a new contract with all interested transportation providers. Currently, First Student owns a bus lot at 9 Highway and 45 Highway, but we hope to get a more competitive set of responses as we finish our own transportation center. We investigated the research about students' sleep needs with the help of a group of teachers, parents, and administrators known as the Sleep and Start Time Research Work Group. The work group looked at several meta-analyses and many research studies and listed several findings from its review of the data. The work group also found evidence of how potential changes in start times might impact students, families, and schools. For the full report from the Sleep and Start Times Research Work Group, please go to parkhilllistens.com.
The things that I'm concerned about with my elementary school kids kind of conflict with the things I'm worried about with my middle school kid. And so even when I'm thinking about what plan would I want, I know that there's going to be changes that we have to make as a family to make it work.
We are trying our best to recruit more staff for our school-age childcare called Adventure Club. Adventure Club will still offer the same opening and closing times, even when it adjusts to the new start times. Rates will also remain the same. Other districts that are as large or larger than Park Hill already have multi-tiered bus route systems. With more tiers of different start times, we could actually hire less drivers, because the same buses and drivers, once they drop off a group of students at one school, then have time to pick up and drop off more rounds of students at more schools. State law requires us to provide service to anyone that lives more than 3 miles from school, and the state reimburses us for transporting anyone who lives more than a mile away. Where there are a lack of safe walking routes, we also offer transportation to all students free of charge. Over the last couple of decades, costs for transportation increased sharply, and Park Hill's rising enrollment increased our transportation needs. During the same time, the state funding for transportation dropped and stayed low.
And we understand on the committee that this will change the entire community. We're not doing this flippantly. We're doing it out of necessity for economy. People expect school districts with public dollars to really stretch those dollars and provide the best outcomes for our kids. This is part of that goal.
To see how much money each of the advisory committee's ideas would save, see parkhilllistens.com. Again, we want to hear from you. Visit Park Hill Listens to see the 3 start time options from the committee and tell us what you think.